I just finished making these Electro Nails, and this is the process of how I did that.
Like all good projects, this project started with cutting up a cardboard box. I got this cardboard box out of Skip. So you know what, all high fashion projects have their moments of being in the trash. With this project, I essentially wanted to make a pair of like high fashion kind of avant-garde nails that looked like there were sparks coming out of my hands. And I was just using the card to make the shapes of lightning bolts so I could test out the shapes on my hands. And then I basically just tried out loads of different shapes till I got to a point where each of them worked on my different fingers. So obviously I had a smaller one on my little finger, a really big one on my middle finger, and then the ones on my pointing finger and my ring finger were kind of like similar sizes. Then I went from one type of card to another type of card. I didn't want to waste any of the like skinny, good quality card that I have, which is what I was going to use to map out the shapes onto the bits of plastic themselves. But then I drew the shapes onto the acrylic, which honestly I wish I'd done in yellow just for like color coordination sake purposes, but then you also wouldn't have been able to see what was going on. Then it was just time to snap that plastic in half. If I timed that really well, you would have had that snap in between this. But anyway, with the swift movement of that plastic, I'm now in the workshop where I'm going to cut out all of the different electric bolts. I'm using a table jigsaw to cut all of the electric bolts out. And yes, I could have done this all with CAD, like Illustrator. However, then you wouldn't get this beautiful sped up compilation of all the pieces being cut out. That being said, this machine is so loud. Honestly, you're so lucky you don't hear this in person. But then I'm using the belt sander to sound down all of those edges, which basically takes it from looking like this with a rough edge to this looking with a smooth edge. It's also just a really good opportunity to correct any mistakes that I made when cutting them out, which is probably many. But anyway, get ready for the best transition of your life and then the worst news of your life. There was only one belt left on the belt sander and it broke after literally 5 minutes, which has left me loads of sanding to do by hand. But I'm determined to do this today. It's gonna happen. You're so welcome for my dedication because this took so long. But it was so worth it. It was a very satisfying process, to be fair. Anyway, so the idea that I had for these nails was I kind of wanted them to be like blades. So the yellow bits were like the blade of a knife. So they kind of went off in a tapered direction. That's why I was filing down all of the edges here, which I first started with a file, then I used rough sandpaper, and then I used smooth sandpaper. I wanted them to be like weapons. And like, honestly, these can do damage, so don't cross me. Now it's just time to clean up all the Electro Nails, because at this point there's still loads of dust left on from the sanding, and there's lots of gunk left on from peeling off this plastic. Look how clean they individually look. I was honestly like, okay, maybe just as black, they're really nice, because they have a very elegant finish at this point, but I decided against it. So I used this green masking tape as a stencil, which I was going to use to spray paint, so only the yellow would get onto the blade bit of the nails. But honestly, I love them with this black and green color combination. I do have a massive affiliation to black and green, so I'm very biased in this. They're giving kind of Shigo from Kim Possible. Someone once commented that I was giving Higo, so like male version of Shigo on one of my TikToks, and I could not stop smiling for the rest of the day. Now I'm gonna leave this to dry and I'm gonna come back and do another layer in like 15 minutes, or how long it takes me to eat my lunch. Fast forward to the end of lunch, I'm doing more jumping to shake the can than actually shaking the can itself. Honestly, I really like them as yellow in themselves. Like that was giving very like Zeus Disney kind of vibes, and then I put this clear lacquer on to make them just extra shiny and pop a lot more. This is just adding to the smooth cut, clean like blade vibe of the nails. God, I've done so many great transitions in this video. You guys are so welcome. But then it's time for honestly the most satisfying part of this whole process, peeling away the tape. Now they kind of went from like a Disney cutesy like cartoon electric bolt to like a giving kind of like edgy, like Street Fighter kind of vibe. However, I now got to the point where I actually wanted to turn them into nails. So they're not just like 2D blades that can really fuck with you, but look kind of cool and graphic. Then I matched each blade with a nail that worked for the size of the finger. And then I cut them to the right size so they matched perfectly with the size of the blades themselves. So the thing is, I have no formal training in making any actual nails in the proper nail making way. However, I have lots of experience in making stuff out of plastic, making stuff in the workshop. So that's just the approach that I have to this. So I'm using like a file, using sandpaper, using blades, and I'm cutting the nails to the right shape. There's actually one step that I didn't show you here, which is when I use cyano acrylate activator. God, that's such a mouthful. But it's basically a spray which makes super glue dry instantly. It's really amazing. You should definitely use it if you're using super glue in any kind of projects. But then I used some more tape to make sure that only the nails themselves got nail polish onto them. Honestly, I could have done spray paint at this point, but I feel like there was just a part of me that was like, okay, these are nails. Let me use some actual nail polish. So I've actually made nails and not just bits of plastic that I've attached to my fingers. However, that is what nails are. Either one will work. This one just made me, I guess, feel a bit more cunty. But after this final satisfying tape peel, it's time to put them on the table, bang my hand against the table, and
here they are in their final glory. I've even matched it with a jacket, and it's the hottest day of the year so far, and I'm wearing a jacket in my bedroom. So you better be fucking grateful. Honestly, really happy with how these turned out. I love doing a sculptural nail moment, and they give me such power. But they very much give me a kind of like comic book, sci-fi, like super villain, high fashion nail. And ultimately, is there a better nail than that? Absolutely not. Also, I have a little secret to reveal. I don't know if I've mentioned that I have a secret yet in this video, but I actually made these nails a year ago. Like all those videos that you just watched are a year before I'm filming this video right now. Yeah, I made the whole video and I made the nails last year and I was just way too scared to post it. I remember having it in my drafts on YouTube and just having it ready for the day I scheduled to post it and just being too scared to post it. Which is kind of sad looking back on it. I'm glad now because I've made a version that's way better and way more authentic to me now. But at the same time, you know, I done a little makeup look which I had in the video last time. I can like put a little side by side so you can see what I look like. I kind of just look like me but a little bit twinkier. But also I still very much back these. But like last year I was really in a nail era. I made like 5 looks with like nails in them. So maybe if you'd like to see, I can just give you a little nail tour. But honestly, they turned out really well. And it was a really fun making process. I really, really enjoyed it. I think that like, I love making things that are really geometric and sculptural. And I also really like the making process. I could obviously do CAD and like laser cut these out, but I liked making them, even though it took really fucking long. Now I have very rosy vision of them because I made it a year ago. And I remember being like, especially when the belt sander broke. That took so fucking long. But anyway, here they are in their final glory. Thank you so much for watching the video today. Thank you for joining me on this creative journey of making these Electro Nails, kind of like Sith, sci-fi, supervillain, Pokemon, Pikachu inspired. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do all the YouTuber things like, comment, subscribe, and do all the interactions. I really, really appreciate it. I love making videos like this and I'd love for you to encourage me to make more. And hopefully you enjoyed it too. I've got more videos coming out soon. I've got a makeup video coming out. I've got a yapping video coming out. And then I've got some really, really exciting projects which are going to be launching very soon. So really, honestly, they're fucking exciting. Keep your eyes peeled for them. But anyways, in a bit, babes. Even though I love these, can't wait to get them off. Can't do shit while I'm wearing them. In fact, I definitely can't shit, I'll tell you that much.